Did you guys see that video that's gone viral? It's Eddie Hall, and he's having it out with some motorists on a public road, it looks like. Well, in any event, I guess these folks were outside of his house, is what Nick Strength and Power said, but all of the houses there seem to have, like very high bushes, kind of like natural boundaries. So I don't know. And I guess his wife went out a couple of times and told him to move it along, and then he came out. Here in the United States, they probably would have told him, you move it along, because maybe they were looking for directions, maybe they were a phone call. Later in the video that's gone viral, you hear a little baby crying. Maybe they were tending to the baby. Who knows? But Eddie does not own the public right-of-way. He doesn't own the road. He doesn't own the sidewalk. And in reality, a lot of people don't realize this, but, from the road or sidewalk in, there's about probably 20 feet. A lot of people, you don't own that either. The city owns that, or the county, so I don't know how it works in Britain, but these people were not in his driveway. They weren't like looking in his windows. They were on a public road. And I guess his wife went out a couple of times and said, get on going, and they ignored her. And you know what? A lot of times, if somebody, has the audacity to tell complete strangers to move it along on a public right-of-way, people might say, I'm going to stay an extra minute or two out of principle because I have no obligation to move it along. And, from Eddie's demeanor, I don't know what his wife's demeanor was like, but it doesn't sound like they were very courteous and kind to these folks. And anyways, Eddie comes out, and it sounds like he's banging on their windows. He's chasing them down. He's threatening them. A horrible look for powerlifting or strongman or whatever the hell he does. I mean, I don't really care enough to look him up. But the point is that, as these people are driving away for the last time, you hear a baby in the background crying. You got to think to yourself, this guy is so lucky that this didn't happen in the Deep South in a red state. He is so lucky. We don't know if the motorist in the car with the baby, if the driver was a woman, if they were, a couple. Again, this guy's probably 6'10" or something, weighs 400 pounds, all tatted up, and obviously livid and chasing down cars on a public right-of-way. I'm just saying, here in the United States, for far less than that, if a family feels their lives are at risk, especially the child, listen, let me tell you, he didn't know who was in the car by his own admission, or by Nick Strength and Power's admission, because the windows were tinted. I mean, that's just something obvious you can look at. You don't have to be there or talk to Eddie. I mean, the reality of the matter is this guy is so lucky that, he didn't pull this nonsense, here in Kentucky or Tennessee or Texas. Real lucky he didn't do this in Texas, because again, you don't know what they were doing. I mean, maybe they were just getting directions or something. A lot of times, I've asked Siri or Waze or whatever for directions, and they don't make sense. And it looked like they were in a neighborhood, so maybe there were streets that had dead ends, maybe there were streets that a lot of roundabouts. I don't know, but the point is that Eddie Hall, his wife, the next door neighbor, the neighbor down the street have no right to tell people they have to move it along on a public road or a sidewalk. You don't have that right. Now, I don't know British law, but I mean, I would think that that's common sense anywhere. You know what I mean? It looked like they had nice cars. It didn't sound like they were playing loud bass music. It didn't sound like, they were casing the homes. It just sounds like, especially from the second car, people traveling with a small child in the background, and this idiot is running after them, threatening to do them, grave bodily harm. And the car behind them, he was like up on there. And I don't know, it sounds like maybe he was hitting the car. Again, man, listen, you are so lucky that this happened, in quaint suburban wherever in Europe, because you would have done that in Dallas or Houston. You would have done that in Birmingham, Alabama, Louisville, Kentucky. You put a family in fear of an imminent battery, and you weren't just talking about a battery. You were talking about, look, what you were saying at face value sounds like you were almost threatening to unlife them. I mean, it sounds pretty bad. And if there's a child in the background, let me tell you something, man. I don't care how big you are. The Second Amendment has something for everyone. It has something for everyone. And let me tell you something. They could stop a charging elephant at point blank range. They can stop your ass. You are just so lucky, my man. Eddie, whatever your fucking name is, you are so lucky that you didn't pull that. And don't ever, ever think about doing that here in the United States, especially in the Deep South or any red state. This is not a red state, blue state thing, but it kind of is. It kind of is. You do this at Berkeley or something, maybe they'll throw some soybeans at you, but you do this in Texas, Alabama, you do this in Mississippi, you do this in Florida. Go to Polk County, where Sheriff Judd is at. Go to Polk County. Actually, don't go to Polk County, because if you do that in Polk County, they're going to light you up. And when the sheriffs get there, they're going to pat the people that lit you up on the back. Do not do that anywhere, especially here. Don't do that. You are so lucky. And that baby crying in the background, you're an asshole. Now, I don't care how long they were sitting out there for. You're an asshole. I don't need to see the full 8 minutes. You're an asshole. And as an attorney, I'm sometimes I read these or I see these videos and I'm like, man, I wish I was licensed there. And man, do I wish they would contact me. Man, I would sue I would say I'd sue the nuts off you, but you probably don't have any from all the juice you're running. But the thing is, I really don't like you, man. And it's because of that little baby crying. You have no right to do what you did. You have no right. If you are so offended by people milling around on a public road, get in your house, okay, and call the feelings police and cry to them. This car's outside. They're not here for me, but they're on a public road, and I can't see them because my bushes are 2 stories high, but I just know they're on the other side. Can you send the feelings police so you can move them along? Because I don't want their car in front of my house. It bothers me. It makes me very, very upset. And I don't know what to do. I want to get in the fetal position. I want my wife to coddle me. Motherfucker, get over it. You don't own the street. You don't own the sidewalk. And you're so lucky you didn't pull this stuff in a red state, and especially a red state in the Deep South. And I'm not even a Republican. I'm just telling you, you are so lucky. You have no idea how lucky you are. And aside from the red state and the Deep South, you'd have done this in the wrong inner city. You'd have done this in the Detroit. You would have done this in Bed-Stuy in New York. You would have done this in East LA. Man, you are so lucky, my man, that you did this to a family. That just sounds, that sounds so bad. But you are so lucky you did this to a family. Were probably taking out their little kid, and they were probably lost, and you're just roided out, just lunkhead. You're just a jerk, man. You're a jerk. I don't even know who you are. I don't even like you. I don't want to know you. Don't ever do this in America.